Hello, everyone. Let's talk about what happens to your $100 or whatever money you invest in the S&P 500. How is it divided into those 500 companies? I will take you to this website which shows the 500 S&P 500 index components. So it has the companies like Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Meta, Broadcom, Netflix, Palantir, Johnson and Johnson, Bank of America, Procter and Gamble, and so on. So there's like 500 companies, right? And so here next to each company it says weight. So what does weight mean? So out of those 100% in the S&P 500 companies, 7.42% is the weight of Nvidia. So for example, if you invested, to keep the math simple, if you invested $100, $7.42 would go towards Nvidia, $6.35 will go to Microsoft, $6.31 would go to Apple, and $4.03 would go to Amazon, and so on. So that's how your $100 will be divided into these top 500 companies of the United States. Same thing with NASDAQ here. So when you go on NASDAQ 100, click on companies, again here it shows the weight. So because this is NASDAQ 100 is the technology ETF, so most of the companies here will be technology companies. So like Nvidia, again, let's say if you invest $100, $13.70 would go to Nvidia, $11.71 would go to Microsoft, and so on. And then all the returns that are cumulative of these 100 companies, or for in the S&P 500, those 500 companies, it comes as an average return of the total index. So next thing, like, you don't have to go and pick these stocks, like which are the best ones, because they're already in here. Nvidia is already in here, Microsoft already in here, Apple, Amazon, Meta is already in here. And also one more thing, you use all of these. One of your computer would have a Nvidia chip, you use Microsoft, most of you have iPhones, MacBooks, AirPods, you order from Amazon, you go on Facebook, Instagram, you use Google for your search, you use Netflix, you use Costco. In the United States, you use Cisco or like the T-Mobile. All of these, even Shopify, PepsiCo, all these you use. So all these companies, what they are doing is taking money out of your pocket. You're paying Apple every month for the storage. You're paying Amazon for delivery to fulfill your orders. You're paying money on Google for your Google Photos. You're paying Netflix subscriptions. So all these that take money out of your pocket, you also want to be on the receiving end. Like when the money comes into Nvidia, for example, you're already invested in Nvidia and you're using its products, the money that you're paying to Nvidia is in somewhat in a fraction of percentages coming back to you. And anyone else, it's not just you, anyone else who else is, like, let's say they released the iPhone 17, everybody went ahead, stood in lines to buy these Apple phones. Guess what? You're gonna make money out of it if you are invested in the company, right? And another thing, you don't have to go and find the Apple, you don't have to go and find the Microsoft or Amazon. You simply buy this ETFs, S&P 500, this QQQ, NASDAQ ETF, and you're all set. You're already invested in those companies. Next thing, I'll bring you to a chart of the S&P 500, and we'll talk a little bit more about the strategies of how to increase your returns from 12 to 14% to 15% and so on. Please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe button,